Hey everybody, this is Nan with Help Connects. Thanks for joining us today. We are here with my ex-business partner, if you will, who opened a restaurant and a bakery and deli with me out in Washington State. That was after working with her in Los Angeles. So we're here with Lil Miller. Hey Lil, thanks for joining us.
Hey, good to see you, Nan.
Yep, good to see you. How's everything out in the Seattle-ish area?
It's a gorgeous day today. We have about 70 degrees and sun and the mountains out and the lakes and all the rivers are full and flowing.
That's fantastic. Well, I want to just give a little bit of background about your experience and what you've done in the culinary world, Lil. So as I mentioned, so Lil and I have owned a restaurant and a bakery and deli together, but before me, she had a culinary career already. So Lil, tell us a little bit about where you got started with your cooking career. And then I know you went to the Culinary Institute of America, and kind of what made you decide to do that?
Well, I first started cooking back in the late 70s in Spokane, Washington, couple of small restaurants there. And I also attended the Spokane Community College. They had a culinary arts program there. It was a 2-year program, AA degree. And I just really enjoyed cooking a lot. That was what I wanted to do pretty much my whole life. My father kind of influenced that. So we went to school, but the 2 restaurants that I worked at in Spokane were the top of the line high-end restaurants that they had at the time.
Nice.
And then after I left Spokane, I went to the Culinary Institute in New York, up in Hyde Park, New York. So
what made you decide to do that? I mean, what
well, I wanted to further my career a little bit more than just working in restaurants. And I figured that having more knowledge and having a diploma behind me would help me to get even better jobs, have more of a success to try to have my own place eventually.
Right. Well, I know, and I kind of would joke you because I did not go to culinary school. And so, when people would say, oh, where'd you go to school? You would say the CIA. And then I would just have to tell people I was naturally talented. But I do remember, that because you went to culinary school, there were so many basic things that you had knowledge of that I'd say, hey, so how do we need to do this? Or how do we need to do that? And you just knew because you'd gone to culinary school. So it definitely looks like a good way to go. So when you went, about how many women would you say were there? What would you say the percentage of women there?
Oh, I'd say between 8 and 10%, so I think when we first started, I think there's like 18 students in a group, I believe. And I think in my class, there were 3 of us out of 18. So I don't know what that percentage is, but it was minimum.
So how was that? Did that make you feel awkward, or was that did you feel at a disadvantage or at an advantage?
No, I don't believe so, because I'm pretty strong-willed anyway. I'm pretty sure I'm very, sure in my own career, my own skills, so I was one of the higher end people in the school anyway. So I think I graduated like second in my class or something like that out of 80 students. So
nice.
I just had really good skill set, and I had a really good work ethic. And I know
what you had experience already.
I've been working in kitchens for 4 years, so I knew what it take to be a good not so much leader, but yeah, I was a leader in a lot of my classes too.
Yeah. Well, I remember the other thing you would tell me too is that you weren't afraid, when somebody would say, hey, do you want to come up and make this, whatever, hollandaise sauce or whatever it was, that you were the person that was like, yeah, I'll do it. Even though, even if I don't, not make a fool of yourself, but you were okay with getting up and learning and taking a chance on somebody going, no, that's not right or whatever, where everybody else would kind of sit back and go, So,
right. Yeah. Yeah, a lot of kids would just sit on their hands because they didn't want to embarrass themselves. But when I did go to the culinary, I was like 26, 27 years old. So I was older. I know. How old is that? But, I knew what I wanted to do. I think a lot of the young kids, that were there were, just fresh into college, and they didn't know if this was going to be their career. But I already had that set in my mind. This is what I wanted to do. So,
right.
But yeah.
Well, so you said you went there but to further your career. And do you think that happened? I mean, when you got out of school, do you think having that culinary degree made a difference for you? And if so, like how?
Well, when I did leave school, I kind of made a long, slow trek going back to Los Angeles, where I eventually met you and worked at some wonderful restaurants in LA. But I was able to, with the degree, I was able to get a pretty good job, working at Trump's restaurant. No relation to Donald, thank goodness. But it was owned
No
by five
politics
men.
here,
No,
right?
owned by five men
Right.
in the West Hollywood area, and it was one of
Had to
the
do with cards, the Trump card, and
right. They all played bridge together.
right.
So
Anyway, so
that's
sorry,
why.
go back to that. Yeah.
Michael Roberts at the time was, one of the up and coming chefs in the California cuisine in the early 80s. So having a culinary degree helped me to get that position. I mean, they didn't look at that, but then also I was under more of a microscope too, because I did have that degree. So
Right.
people go, well, you're from a school, you got to graduate, what can you show us? And I was able, because of my skills that I had prior and what I accumulated at school, it made it that much easier. So I was able to move up the ladder there at Trump's over the 4 years that I was there, from like day grill cook to chef de cuisine under Michael Roberts. So
Yeah.
that was pretty cool.
Well, so speaking of culinary schools, so obviously there's all sorts of culinary schools. There's community college culinary schools, and now they even have them. You can start in high school. And to be sure, some of them are quite expensive. What would you say to somebody now if they were looking to go into the hospitality industry as a cook or a chef, about going to culinary school? Do you think it's for everybody? Do you think it's a huge advantage? I mean, what would you kind of say to somebody who was thinking about going or not going to culinary school? What advice would you give them?
Well, I guess it depends on the person per se too, and what their financial, if they do have the financial backing for that. But again, you can learn a lot. Hence, your skills, you learn from Mary Sue and Susan and worked,
Marcel
and
Desaulniers and yeah.
I mean, everybody in Virginia, so depending on what path you want to take. I started with my path in restaurants and learning from, and then I went to school because I wanted to hone it, so
Right.
again, I believe having that degree helps, but it doesn't make you a chef. You have to earn that title. You
Right.
have to learn. You can say you went to this school and that school, but it doesn't make you a chef.
At the end of the day, that's right. And I do remember, you made the comment about, you're under a microscope because you've been to culinary school. And I do remember a couple of different chefs looking at people that came out of the culinary school and kind of almost with like concern that those students came out thinking that they were better than they may be. And like,
Right.
oh, you're the schoolboy or schoolgirl or whatever.
Right.
And them thinking that, like you said, they're a chef now when really they've got knowledge, but they don't always necessarily have the skills or the drive to maybe be that chef.
Right. I think it's good to go to school, but you also have to have the skills. You have to have the skills, and the only way you can get that is by working.
Yeah.
You
Well,
have to be
I'm sorry.
No.
Yeah. Well, since you and I worked together so much and we hired and lost, I guess, and maybe sometimes fired so many people over the years. And I remember one year we had W-2s, like the stack like was so thick, and we only at any given moment had maybe 12 permanent employees. And I remember us talking about that, how, wow, it's such a transient industry. I mean, part of that's cool because you can go kind of anywhere you want and get a job, but at the same time, it's such a transient industry that people can jump and just go from place to place. And it's fun to go, maybe stay a year or two and learn skills, but this wasn't even that. It was like weeks or months at a time where, and then you'd lose somebody. And so, but now, and before COVID, it was just getting worse and worse because I feel like as an industry as a whole, we haven't done a lot to either take better care of our employees. And to be sure, there's a lot of employees that are not stellar, and paying them more money and more benefits and that sort of stuff won't make them a better employee. But at the same time, we haven't done anything, I don't believe, or done much to attract new talent into this industry and make it an industry that where people want to be in anymore. And so we're really in a desperate place right now of having
I
employees.
agree 100% with what you're saying, because it's not an industry. It's hard work.
Hard work, nights, weekends, holidays.
Yeah, away from your family. It is a hard, job to do, and with not a lot of laurels. What is it? Why would you, as a young kid right now in your 20s or late teens, want to go into this business unless you
Right.
really had a love for food and
Yeah.
creating? I mean, and those people are few and far between. It's just our whole culinary field has kind of changed in the last 20, 30 years.
Yeah.
It's all about more quick food. It's not as much as making the sauces and roasting making food. Basically,
Right.
it's how fast can we make it and get it to them, how cheaply can we make it, and is that going to carry anybody's interest?
Right. Well, that coupled with, like we said, nights, weekends, holidays, and then kind of that lack of not kind of, but the lack of respect really on both sides of the coin. And I'm speaking in generalizations here, so this isn't everybody or every business or every employee, but there's, we kind of look at ourselves as, pardon the language, in the restaurant industry, in the kitchen especially, as like hard asses, tough, and and that's cool. Like, that's fine. You can be that and not be a jerk. Like, I feel like 100% you can be that. And I know when I first got in the industry, I would be so excited, and I just really wanted to learn. And the people that I worked for, again, at the Williamsburg Inn or at the Trellis, they could feel that energy, and they would really want to show me. And it was kind of fun for them too, to have somebody who was really into what they're doing. And I don't think we, as maybe chefs and business owners, and you don't even have to be a chef that's an owner, like you could be chef de cuisine or whatever, and really encourage and teach others. And again, you don't have to be the person that says that's not the way to do it. Say, hey, let me show you the way I do it and see what you think. I mean, I remember, guys, when I was at Trump's one time, I probably had 4 different people show me how to fillet a salmon, and I took it all in, tried all 4, and found the one that worked best for me, that gave me the best product, that cleaned the salmon off the best without taking too much meat or skin or whatever. And I just don't know that people are doing that this much anymore. And it's just a hard job,
Right.
without a lot of pay, half the time without 2 days off in a row. And something's got to change.
Yeah. Our industry has really gotten away from, it's a lot of stuff is coming already done for us. We've lost those skill sets of how to fillet a salmon, how to break down some, a filet mignon, or, a tenderloin to cut the steaks. Most places, it's so labor driven, labor cost driven, food cost driven, all those costs that, it's cheaper to buy steaks that are already cut and portioned. Yeah, you might have to pay a little bit more per pound, but you're not getting the waste. You're not paying somebody to do it. So all these cooks have to do is pull it out of a Cryovac paper.
They're not portioning it incorrectly. I mean, you take a fillet right now, if it's an ounce or 2 ounces high times 20 fillets, I mean, that's a lot of money.
Right. Yeah. So I think maybe people aren't as challenged in our bit. Even look at McDonald's. They don't cook the meat anymore. Probably already come. I don't know. I'm generalizing, but I don't know. But they might. I don't think the skill is really needed that much anymore. It's just how much can they do? How fast can they do it?
Yeah. Well, Lil, I really appreciate you being on the show today, and I'm looking forward to hopefully at least having an interview with you once a month. You've got great perspective, obviously tons of skill and experience, and it's great to have somebody also on the West Coast over there who can kind of keep me posted as to what's going on there. So I greatly appreciate it. It's great to see you. And
you're welcome.
I hopefully get to see you in person before too long. But thank you very much. And thanks everybody for watching.
Hey, it's good to see you, Nan, and take care back there on the East Coast.
I will. Take care. Thank you.
Bye-bye.